for a wonderful year and ready to serve new customers and the same great customers coming up in the next year. Happy holidays and Happy New Year from Downtown Sign Shop, 28 South Beatty Avenue, Newnan.
The House of Light brings clarity to your soul, offering a safe space for healing through our compassionate practitioners, services, classes, and wisdom, plus the tools to support you in our retail space.
The views and opinions of this show and program are not the views and opinions of this station, its management, or its clientele.
Good morning. Welcome to WQEE 99.1. I'm Donna.
And I am Bruce.
And this is
Lyrical Wisdom.
Good morning, Bruce.
Good morning, Donna.
How are you today?
I'm doing very well, thank you. How are you?
I'm doing awesome. Had my cup of coffee, had my little appetizer. I am ready to go.
Yes, I couldn't agree with you more. I am really raring to go today, and I actually really love this song that we found today.
Awesome. You know, I love him.
Yeah.
I love the artist. I love the music that he presents, and I especially love the lyrics.
I do too. I love this, and I have to admit that it's an inspiration from you, Donna, simply because we have talked about this artist quite a bit, and we were both talking about what songs do we want to talk about today, and we had kind of been brainstorming, and I had been brainstorming and not coming up with answers. And then I thought of this artist, and it just suddenly opened up. And that's where I feel like I'm lucky that I have somebody like you that can inspire me to think about this artist by mentioning them and suggesting them. And we've actually done one of their songs before, haven't we?
Yes. Thank you, Bruce. That's so sweet. Well, I love Naco and Medicine for the People.
Me too.
And, you know, I love the name because it is. That's what music is.
It is.
It's medicine for the people.
It is, yeah.
And I believe it depends upon the prescription.
Oh, my goodness.
In other words, the lyrics. What are you receiving from the medicine?
I agree. I couldn't agree more. That is something that is beautiful to me. I feel like there is medicine in this song, especially, and I'm really glad that we picked it today.
I agree. So
I guess without further ado, as they like to say, yeah. This is Ancient Love by Naco and Medicine for the People. Hard-earned lines on these hands of mine, calloused by the times, my ancestors were right. Generations live and generations die. We will surpass the last, and all we do and realize. It is ancient love, rooted, sprouting up. On the wind, all things must begin. We are almost home. And we reach it, we will know. Communities of color are communities of hope. Betrayal is hard to get past. My mother ought to know. Broken, beaten people, alive and full of strain. Inner city nomads are allies on the way. It is ancient love, rooted, sprouting up. On the wind, all things must begin. We are almost home, and when we reach it, we will know. Truth, my pack, my burden, a load I often drive, the heaviness of wisdom, the weight upon my back. Look at how we've hungered, and each of our own. Struggle, I am grateful for loss, from which I've grown. It is ancient love, rooted, sprouting up. On the wind, all things must begin. We are always home, and when we understand, it shows. Wow.
I love that.
I
know,
do too.
Bruce.
I had a few stumbles there.
Yeah. Oh, no. I want to thank you for this because I am a big Nako fan and I really don't know this song. And when I listen to it, I can tell it's one of his earlier songs, but the melody and the harmony between the people that sing make it even more beautiful. But as I really settle in and become one with the lyrics, I'm beginning to really realize the wisdom and the medicine.
Oh my gosh!
Present in in these lyrics. So let's start. I mean, quite obvious about hard-earned lines, huh?
Yes.
On these hands of mine.
Yeah, calloused by the times.
My ancestors were right.
No, yeah.
Now, that's what's fascinating.
I agree. That part is, that's why I stopped and I'm glad you filled in that blank there, because hard-earned lines on these hands of mine, calloused by the times, my ancestors were right. It's 3 moments, hard-earned lines on these hands of mine, calloused by the lines. These are very physical things that you can look at. The lines on our hands from these calluses of hard work. Mm-hmm. And then that my ancestors were right is that moment of, to me, the reflection on, I've been told this. The reflection on, this has been spoken to me. I have been told this by either a grandmother, or maybe it's a spirit guide, or, it is definitely somebody from the past, somebody maybe even from the future, told them or spoke this to them. And that's something that really resonates with me.
Right. It was a moment of realization.
Yes, thank you. Yeah, realization and
confirmation. Right. In other words, right now I'm really hearing a lot about our ancestors and how when we are in touch with them, whether they are crossed over or not, alive or not, we receive wisdom. They did. They spoke to us, and you can't get anything for nothing. Hard work. Early bird gets the worm. Yeah. There's so many little tidbits of wisdom that ancestors have given us throughout time. Yeah. And our young minds always seem to, I can do it better. Yeah. I can, I don't need to listen to that. That's old or whatever. Yes, But when you get to that moment of realization that there is wisdom in those that have come before us, and it's sad that it has to be realized through the hard-earned lines and the calloused time. Yes. Right? Yeah. I mean, if we would just listen and do it, then we wouldn't have to go through those hard-earned lines.
No, right? You're right. Absolutely. Absolutely. And then in that, I feel like in the spirit of that, generations live and generations die. The next lyrics, we will surpass the last, and in all we do and realize. So generations live and generations die. We will surpass the last in all we do and realize it's a lot of that hard work and growth. Mm-hmm. And it's this, these hard-earned lines on these hands of mine, from calloused by the hard work. My ancestors were right. They spoke of generations living and dying, and we will surpass the last, which is an organic way of things, I guess you could say, because that's how the world works.
Well, it's a beautiful segue.
It is. It really
into the chorus.
It is a very beautiful.
Because the chorus is ancient love.
Yes.
Rooted, sprouting up.
I love that smile on your face when you were saying.
All things must begin.
Yes.
So, right, you said, every generation, they live, they die, and we surpass the last.
Yeah.
Energy never dies. It's constant. There is no beginning, there is no end. That's what this ancient love is.
Yes. Yeah.
And yes, it's rooted, and it just keeps sprouting up and sprouting up.
Oh my gosh, that's beautiful.
What I love about it is on the wind, all things must begin.
Yeah.
Because I have a belief deep inside of me that upon birth, an infant, what does it do in order to be human? It takes a breath.
It has to. Yeah. It has to breathe.
It takes a breath. If it does not take that first breath, it does not come to life. I believe that the air around us is that ancient love.
Absolutely.
Just like all the other elements, but there's something special about that. And I came to realize that in a moment of my, people call it awakening or whatever, 18 years ago, when I had a beautiful spiritual experience. It was so obvious to me that is Holy Spirit. That is, everyone talks about it, the prana, the chi, the life force that surrounds us all. We did a song about that, the space between us.
Yes, we did. That's amazing.
Yeah. And so, on the wind, all things must begin.
Wow.
So for
That's
me,
beautiful, Donna.
Yeah, the wind.
Thank you for sharing that.
Oh, you're welcome.
That's beautiful.
Yeah, the wind is that ancient love.
Wow.
Is that Holy Spirit, the life force that seems to begin everything.
Yeah.
Because it's energy, and energy is constant.
It is constant. It is the literal Energizer Bunny.
Right.
That keeps going and going and going. And it's true. And I think that the scientific way they like to say it is energy never dies, it just transfers.
Correct.
But, I like to just say, honestly, it just never dies.
Right.
Because, you don't have to put on that little part of the end, it just transfers part, because, what's the point of even saying that? Because I don't know.
Because most people, when they do pass, they take a breath. It's that last breath.
Oh my gosh. That's true. Oh my gosh.
And they're just becoming the wind again.
Yes. That's amazing. Yeah.
Right?
It's like that deep sigh.
We are almost home, and when we reach it, we will know.
That's,
And that home, to me, is that ancient love. It's that love that we all come from.
Yeah.
Right?
It is ancient, it is constant, it is always there. Yeah, and it's funny because I like how they say my ancestors were right, and because I believe that that's also that message too. Is here we have this ancient love on the wind, all things must begin, and when we reach it, when we reach it, we will know. And I feel like that's part of that statement there. Now, the next portion of this is, I love this song. It kind of dives into a little bit of, I would almost say, current events.
Oh, it does. Communities of color are communities of hope.
Yes.
So, definitely. I immediately thought of that when I heard, that particular lyric.
Yes.
Because when we can learn to live with one another, regardless of color, race, sex, origin, whatever,
everything. Yeah, absolutely.
then that hope does spring forth.
It does, and there's actually there's a theory on that, and the theory was written by this guy named Gordon W. Allport. He wrote a book called the nature of prejudice. And his research showed that racial prejudice tends to decline when different racial groups have sustained contact with one another under certain conditions, including sharing roughly equal status and belonging to a community that is working together on a common purpose that transcends race.
Oh, that's beautiful.
It is.
Thank you.
Oh,
Yes.
well, that's the weirdest thing is that, like, I had no idea that I would be sharing that with you this morning, except because of the fact that, like, when I read these lyrics and heard this song, it just kind of connected with me, and it made me realize that in current times, that is something that people are really feeling a renaissance towards, is, you know, being communities of hope. Mm-hmm. That is something that I feel like people are being called to. And that is something that I find to be a beautiful portion of this current event of, let's say, our world. And in some ways of speaking, they call it the BCE, before current events.
Okay, before current events.
Yeah, instead of like before, you know, before or after death.
Yeah. Interesting.
But it's funny because then, as they say, betrayal in the lyrics, they say betrayal is hard to get past. My mother ought to know. Broken, beaten people, alive and full of strain. Inner city nomads are allies on the way. And I feel like, you know, that is a nod to, once again, the beginning lyrics of hard-earned lines on these hands of mine, calloused by the times. Mm-hmm. My ancestors were right. You know, generations live and generations die. We will surpass the last in all we do and realize. And it's because of this, you know, these are communities of hope, but there's also things that have to be healed. Yes. And those things have to be healed from the betrayal, through the ancestors of the past. My mother ought to know, the broken, beaten people, alive and full of strain. You know, they are sometimes inner city nomads that are allies on the way. It's a message of hope, but it's also a nod to the fact that there is shadow work here that will be involved.
And a lot of times I really, really resonate with the inner city nomads that are allies on the way, because they are the ones who have done the work.
Yes.
They are the ones who have been broken and beaten people and full of strain.
Yes.
And they're the ones that have come out and, you know, and into the communities and are that ray of hope.
They are the light that becomes like a lighthouse. It becomes the thing to see, and, you know, people can connect with. And it is that, I agree, it's that ray of hope. And it seems like sometimes hope can become a 4-letter word for some people, but I don't believe that it should. But then again, you know, that is something that is, you know, hope can be an ancient love.
Okay. Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
It can be.
Yeah.
But it all depends.
Well, it depends on the work,
Exactly.
And that's what he's saying here.
Yeah.
That, you know, betrayal is hard to get past, and broken, beaten people that are full of strain. If they hold on to that, then they can't. They're in that energy of unacceptance.
Exactly, unworthiness, unacceptance.
Correct. And they'll look for, you know, who's going to betray me next, you know, who's going to break me down next. And they stay in that energy of not doing the shadow work you're speaking of.
Yes.
So the inner city nomads that come out, the allies on the way.
It's the reserve forces.
Right. They don't hold any grudges. They don't blame anybody. You know, they don't hold any shame. They come out and say, I'm here. I made it. I'm alive. And I am your brother, your sister. Let's be together.
Yes.
Let's, you know, be ancient love. Because that's, of course, we go right into the...
And let's be,
it goes into the chorus after that.
Yes.
Ancient love, rooted, sprouting up on the wind. end, all things must begin. So then the next one, though, truth, my pack, my burden, a load I often drive.
Yeah.
The heaviness of wisdom, the weight upon my back. Truth, my pack, my burden.
Yes.
That is, for me, that nomad that is coming out of the inner city.
Yes.
Because the truth is, okay, yes, I am beaten. I've been betrayed, and I'm not gonna let it keep me down.
No, yeah.
And it's standing up in truth against all of those others who are, stay with us.
Doing? Yeah.
Keep blaming these other people.
Right.
Keep shaming the world.
Right.
I've been, you've been broken too. And that's can be a tough burden at times when truth comes out,
yes,
right?
Boy, howdy.
When you know that you and I are the same, everybody's the same.
Yeah.
You got to let go of all that stuff that you've been holding on to as protection.
Yes.
That keeps you safe. You know
what
I mean?
It's like a shield.
Yeah. You've gotta let it go.
Yeah.
And when you realize that the truth can be a burden, it can be.
Howdy. Yeah.
Right?
The heaviness of wisdom, the weight upon my back. It's so true, because to be wise is to have experienced, I believe, both trauma in a way that is traumatic, and of course also ecstasy.
Right.
I think that is the only way to be wise, is to have both experiences, and look at how we've hungered, and each in of our own, how we've all hungered for different things, all of us in our own ways. Struggle, I am grateful for. Loss, from which I've grown. I know, it's so beautiful, because it is such a truth. It is the struggle that is so beautiful, the loss from which I've grown. It's such a beautiful way. I don't even know how to.
And the loss, most people, when they think of loss, they think of losing someone.
Right.
The death of a parent, the death of a child, a spouse, whatever, even a pet.
Right.
But it's not just, it's also the loss of knowing that, I'm trying to say that you have to sometimes let go of things.
Yes.
So it's losing that protection, losing that shell, losing, that way of being that you've been all your life. That, the resentment, the jealousy, you've got to let it go. And it does become loss, because then but you grow.
You do.
You grow so much when you lose.
You shed. I like to think of it as shedding our unnecessary weight, and then, in a way, we shed those things that we are growing from. We purge.
Yes.
And then we heal and grow, and it just, you have to make space. You have to create space sometimes within yourself, and those things are not easy to let go of.
No, there's struggle.
They are.
There's struggle involved, right?
But I am grateful for the loss from which I
and the struggle.
Yeah,
right.
Because it is ancient love.
Do you know it's been, I think, almost proven that when you go into a state of gratitude, if you can put yourself in gratitude, you are receptive. That is when the blessings begin to flow.
Oh, wow.
Because we're energy beings.
Yeah.
So if you're in an energy of being grateful, you're in that receptive energy, and it just starts flying at you.
Oh my gosh.
And then you can begin to feel that ancient love.
Yeah.
You can feel it sprouting up on the wind. Where all things must begin. And I love the way he ends this song.
Oh my gosh, yes.
Go ahead, Bruce.
Well, let's say it together.
Okay.
We are always home, and we understand it shows.
It's so beautiful.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
When you're home, and home is where the heart
Oh
is.
my gosh. Beautiful. Yes.
Thank you so much for joining us here today.
Yes,
oh, Bruce,
thank you.
this was so beautiful. Thank you. Remember, please send us your requests for song lyrics to lyricalwisdomshow@gmail.com. That's lyricalwisdomshow@gmail.com. We'll see you next week.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
When you hear music, do the lyrics speak to you on a deeper level? I'm Bruce Thornton. Join me and Donna Wood every Friday morning at 10:30 a.m. on WQEE 99.1 FM The Key for our show Lyrical Wisdom. Every week we will dive into the lyrics of songs and uncover hidden messages that we hope will leave you feeling inspired and enlightened. We know that our ideas may not always line up with yours, so this show will be an open discussion. Email us with ideas for songs at lyricalwisdomshow@gmail.com. That's lyricalwisdomshow@gmail.com. Let's share some wisdom together.